What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the podcast. Thank you for tuning in. So if you're listening to this, the L.I.T Leadership Impact and Technology Business Leadership Conference at the Blair County Convention Center is kind of what this episode is setting up, but it's also just setting up in general. If you're trying to find a coach in your life, if you're trying to find a mentor in your life, how do you make those connections? What are the benefits of going to a conference like a leadership conference? Why is that beneficial for you, for yourself personally, for your life, for your business, for your career, for your finances, for your income? Why is that sort of thing valuable? Not just because of information you're going to get at an event like the one that we are putting on, but also because of the people you're going to meet. You're sitting next to somebody, you say hi to them, you spark up a conversation. You might find that person that is in line with you to be an accountability partner, or it could be a mentor to you, or you could even mentor. There's so many different opportunities and so much motivation and inspiration that comes out of leadership events, which is why I'm putting the one on that I am putting on. And if you're listening to this after February 28th of 2020, which you most likely are, make sure you check the website GETLITCON.comTo for upcoming conferences, because we're going to be bringing those all around the Pennsylvania area. Okay, so make sure you check that out. But as you're listening today, just know that the two guys that I have on this episode with me, Ken Pasch and Michael Depiro, are experts at what they do, and it's really cool when you get like a mastermind kind of environment, situation in your life, which is what this conversation turned into, where you can brainstorm and share great ideas and bounce ideas off of one another and off of people who are of the same mindset and in the same field that you are. Now, as you listen to this episode, just remember, we have like somewhere around 80,000 thoughts per day, and over 95% of those thoughts are old thoughts that we've had day by day by day. So if you're wondering why it's so hard to change, if you're wondering why it's so difficult to maybe get new patterns built into your life and to get rid of old patterns, it's because we think the same stuff over and over and over again. So when you're thinking the same stuff unconsciously, you end up in patterns that you don't necessarily want, but you don't necessarily even know you have, and obviously that makes it even more difficult to get out of those patterns. Okay, so that's what this podcast is all about. Finding those superpowers in you that are the things that hype you up, that you're really good at, that give you energy whenever you do them, and that can help humanity and add value to people's lives. Okay, that's the general gist of what the Rob Z Radio Creating Superheroes podcast is all about. And on top of that, listen, if you listen to this and you like what I'm talking about, go back to episode 400 and 401, because those episodes really lay the groundwork for the series of creating superheroes that we're in right now. And if you like what we're talking about on the show, make sure that you like, comment, subscribe. If you're on like the iTunes app, give us a rating, give us a review. That would be amazing. And if you find like value out of this, screenshot a part of the episode that you really loved, send it to me on social media. Show me and tell me what you loved about the episode, the insight you had, or the, maybe the complaint that you had, or the disagreement that you have, because I'd also love to hear that. Okay, but you can find me on any social media platform, on all of them. Just go to my website, robzradio.com. All my social links are right there at the top. That's robzradio.com. Let's get this thing started.
This is Rob Z Radio.
Welcome, everybody, to the podcast. This is a special episode because we're getting ready for L.I.T, the Business Leadership Conference in central Pennsylvania at the Blair County Convention Center. So if you're listening to this before Friday, February 28th, this is some valuable information for when you come to the conference. Now, if you missed the one on the 28th of February in 2020, we have a brand new one coming up in September of 2020. So make sure that you check the website, GETLITCON.com. Right now, two of the speakers on stage, Ken Pasch, Michael Depiro, are here. Gentlemen,
hello.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Hey, man. Yeah. This is fun.
So I wanted to have you guys here because one of the things at this event, now we were talking before we started, that one of the things I always find when you talk about leadership is a lot of people don't understand what it is necessarily, or why they need it, or why they should come to an event that's all about leadership. And I think this conversation can help to explain one of those reasons, that whenever you have a bunch of like-minded people in the same room. You're probably either sitting beside or very closely connected to somebody in that room that could help you.
Right.
Or you could help them, one or the other. Now, for both of you, I guess explain a little bit of your backgrounds.
Right.
And then how you guys met, because through Michael, you connected me to Ken,
Yep.
and now we're all sitting here together. So these kind of situations can happen really easily, especially at a community event like that. So what do you guys do?
Well, in my industry, I'm a web designer and a digital marketer and a consultant, a coach, and if you just want to keep checking them off, I can keep
Video
with them.
game designer,
Yeah, video
movie
game
star.
designer, producer, executive producer, director, writer, whatever. The list can go on and on with what I do, but I work mostly with helping people develop their businesses and expanding on their social medias and helping them have an overall better digital presence.
And I met Michael through another event, an avenue,
Another
another friend that we have now that's mutual. And Michael did introduce me to Rob, and we were just talking about all the different people we met, which is one of the great things I think that happens at these conferences. Is hopefully the information is really powerful and really useful and really worthwhile. Mm-hmm. But even more importantly is trying to figure out who's in the same boat as you or who can help you get across that chasm that you're facing right now. Because, we talk about it. We're supposed to become self-made people. Mm-hmm. Well, there is no such thing. Mm-hmm. The reality is we have to have that drive and that motivation to really get us where we want to go. But without others in our lives, whether that's parents or grandparents or neighbors or coaches on football teams or basketball teams or whatever it is, it's other people that we really learn from and grow from and get to where we could go. Mm-hmm. So the most successful people in the country, they have coaches.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's the crazy part, is that when you think about sports, the word coach is synonymous. Of course,
right.
I have a coach. Mm-hmm. But in any other part of life, coach is like this, it's still to this day kind of a weird thing that what should I have a life coach for, a business coach? What are they going to do for me?
In all different areas. Like when I started my business 4 years ago or 5 years ago, when I first met Ken, I didn't really have a guide or a coach, and Ken needed services to build out his website, and that's what I, did for him. But also he was a resource to me to help get my footing in the business world, understanding the important areas of my company that I needed in order to get started, in order to grow. So he was a coach to me without ever defining that coach role.
Right.
And the great things that came out of that, and now my business has been in operation for more than 4 years and I'm growing. It's one of those things where Ken helped me, and he helped me in such a way that probably didn't even realize you were helping me, and I probably didn't even realize I was utilizing the things that you were telling me to do. And that led one thing to another, where I wanted to introduce you to someone like Rob, who's also growing and doing great things in this industry. It all comes down to, that connection of network and being a networker in many different ways. You can be a silent networker. You can be someone who's out there just talking to people on the daily, connecting them up.
Yeah, and I think that the reason for this conference, right, LIT, Leadership, Impact, and Technology, my perception was, and with my mentor, Ray, so Ray's an expert he's been a business coach, a life coach longer than I've been alive, and then ran grocery stores and was the regional director for a lot of those for many years. So he has all this experience in things that I really don't know too much about or didn't know too much about. And I know a lot of stuff about broadcasting and social media and technology. So bringing those two worlds together, you can help each other, which is what you two have done as well for each other, I imagine. Michael, you've got the design part down, the entertainment industry, the new stuff, and Ken, you've got the classic stuff, the marketing and the leadership that is really the backbone of all of this. If you don't have that stuff right, it's really hard to make the technology do what you want it to do.
Oh, it really is. But just listening to you talk there, Rob, just helped me recognize one of the things that I do tell people without charging.
Exactly.
Not just the stuff that Michael and I had discussions about, but in this realm, we each have a purpose, I'm convinced. And we each have great skills, and we have other things that we're supposed to do, we're really not very good at it. Well, I tell you, I think it's best if do what you're best at and hire others to do what they're best at.
Right.
And that's how we all get. where we want to go. And I think that's what we have to recognize. And that's what this conference should be able to do for people, getting on that course that will put them above where they even think they could go. That's the key, because people that I work with, they come to me and say, I ask them, where do you want to go? And they tell me, and they're aiming way too low. I can already tell.
If they actually even know where they want to go.
If they even know, they're aiming too low. And I accept what they say in the beginning, but then over time, they come to realize, oh my, so much more is possible.
Right.
Yeah, and the interesting part in that is that I guess, at least for myself, you don't really talk about it that often throughout your life, throughout school, with your parents, unless you were really lucky to have those kind of parents or those kind of people in your life. Like, I can remember my brother-in-law, Jack, who's going to be at the conference, asking me a question. It was about 5 years ago, right around the time my son was born. And he said, Rob, what are your skills? Like, what are your top 3 skills? And I was like, I don't really know if I have any. And he was like, how do you not, even in broadcasting for 15 years, like, you got to have something. But I had never thought about it.
Right.
And I had never articulated it, had to say it out loud. And I never, I guess, even, like, I never had the confidence to say, well, that's a skill. That's definitely it. I always underestimated my value. But the more you talk about it with people, the more you start to realize, oh, wow, there is a lot there.
Can we talk about FUD?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about FUD.
Because that's FUD in a nutshell, what you were just talking about. And for those that don't know, this is not my acronym. I can't
not Elmer FUD.
That's not Elmer FUD. FUD. So many people are limited because of the fear, uncertainty, and doubt that's in their minds. And the 3 of us were talking about it.
Yeah.
I battle it every day.
Every single day.
I check myself every day. Like, hey, where's your mental state at right now? Where's your mind at?
Even just today, like, I woke up and, like, I had to force myself. I'm like, yes, I got this. I can do this. Because there's always something from the previous day that puts you in that damper. And it's like, darn, am I even really, good at this? And then you have to kind of remind yourself, like, I have created this business. I've created this product. I've helped so many people. One little thing is not the end of the world. You have to be able to pull yourself back out of that and realign yourself and say, you know what, I got this.
Yeah.
I got this, and I am going to conquer this day, and I'm going to move forward. I'm going to keep up that motivation throughout the day. And then coming into things like this, where we're sitting down talking about it, it's always a relief, because I often wonder, am I the only entrepreneur out there who's experiencing this?
Right.
Like, I was like, everyone looks like they have it so easy.
They
make
check
it
on social media.
Oh,
Nobody's
my
having
gosh.
any problems.
No, right.
Issues.
It's like you look on social media, everything is like hunky dory. Everyone's growing and growing with maximum effort, and I'm sitting here like, oh my gosh,
I'm curled up in a ball.
Right. I'm like sitting here on the floor.
Position.
Yeah, exactly. I've lost all hope. But then, you have to bring yourself back up and realize, like, this is my journey. This is my path, and this is what I have to do. I'm going to challenge myself differently today to, feel better about it tomorrow. You know?
Yeah, and that's why I think that one of the reasons I wanted to hold this event was to get all of us like-minded people in the same room, but also get people who don't have the same mindset to see what it could be like if you did. Because up until a few years ago, when I was still full-time in radio, my whole existence was around other people who weren't necessarily lit on fire by life. We were just kind of getting through the days, going through the 9 to 5. Even though it was radio and it was fun, it was still just a job.
Yeah.
And I can't say never, but I very rarely met people who were like excited about doing stuff, unless it was drinking or what we're going to do that weekend or something, but just like excited to get up on a Monday. Like, I'm excited for Mondays. Like, I can't wait to get back into my office to start doing stuff.
That's one of the metrics we use with our clients. I ask them, how many of your people are really glad it's Monday?
Right.
Because if they're not, something's wrong.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what we need, because if we're really, because most people don't really have a good understanding of what leadership is. I think a lot of people believe, I was put into a leadership position, so I'm a leader. Yeah, don't believe that.
Right.
That's usually not what it is.
Yeah.
Because the primary role of a leader is to unlock, engage, and optimize the potential in their organization, whether it's their potential or the potential of people working with or for them.
Yeah.
And if we can do that, it's amazing how life is so much better.
Well, and the real definition of a leader, too, from what Michael's saying, it's like, how can you lead yourself out of a slump that you're in?
Right.
Because if you can't do that to yourself, how are you going to do it for anybody else? It's going to be impossible.
Right.
So the more you can help to direct yourself and to steer yourself in the right direction and to motivate yourself out of whatever you're feeling that day, like that's a huge piece of it that it all starts with you personally.
Yeah.
And that determines the level of leader you can be for other people. Even if you're given the title,
It's
you need to be able to live it out.
It's amazing how many people come to me asking me to help their people.
Right. That's all
them
you
for
do,
me.
like how do I help these people? How do I help my people?
And the biggest part of it is, well, how about you and I talk a little bit first and figure out, because most of it is they're just, again, FUD is hurting them.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to deal with this. And that's one of the things, hopefully this conference can help present some things that people can really walk away with and really put to use right now.
Right. I look at L.I.T as a way for me to re-energize my motivation. Like, I'm a pretty motivated person, but I'm so busy throughout the day that I don't always get to do the networking opportunity. I don't always get to go to all the meetings that are held around town. This is an opportunity for me to meet a ton of different business owners and entrepreneurs and like-minded people who want to start a business or want to do better at the job that they're working at. This is a great opportunity for myself, you guys, everyone who's involved to stop and talk to other people and really bring out that network opportunity. This is a way for me to re-energize myself and remind myself that, what, I'm doing this. I'm out here. I'm promoting myself, and I'm also sharing the knowledge that I have with other people, and I'm looking to them to share the knowledge that they have with me.
Yeah.
That's what this is really about: building that community, bringing that community together, and really, really helping out. Really helping out the people who are here and trying to do better for themselves and trying to grow.
Yeah, check out the success that is actually in central Pennsylvania.
Right.
Because the issue is that if you're not around the right people, and even if you are around the right people, but your mind's not in the right place, they could be right into your nose and you'll never even know it. You'll never
That's
know that
exactly
there's
right.
somebody there that could change your life, could be right there with you. But if you don't have the right mentality to ask the right questions or to go a little bit above and beyond what other people do, you'll never get access to that, and you'll never figure that out.
Yeah, you have to try new things. You have to get out there.
Yeah, and I think the three of us sitting here right now, so what this says to me is that when you're at an event like this, look to the person to the right, to the left of you. Make sure, because I didn't want this to be a networking event. I can't stand the idea of networking because I just feel like it's people going in with business cards doing
One
sales.
thing, yeah.
That's not networking.
But that's the idea that people, the salesman has when it comes to networking.
Right.
So I want that. You can network, right? But it's like a networking event in disguise.
Yes.
That's a byproduct of what this event is all about. And that's kind of the point.
Perfect.
Can I give a recommendation?
Sure, yeah.
Because what both of you are talking about, I think, fits into this. Because what I think we should be looking for going to the event, and I'm not just talking to people that are going to be in the audience, so to speak, but for those of us that are going to be together on stage and everything else, I recommend everybody coming to the conference look for two things. One, somebody who can help you get where you want to go. Now, a lot of us that are going to be there classify ourselves, we call ourselves the executive's ally, because we do more than coach. But one of the big things we do is coach. So somebody that has that ability to help you get where you want to go. The other thing I would recommend, like you're talking about looking left and right, Rob, is find somebody that you can be an accountability partner with.
Oh, yeah,
that's huge.
That's very important.
And if you get those two things out of this conference, it'll be well worth the time and any level of expense that it cost you.
Yeah.
Because your life will be dramatically better just from those two things.
Yeah, the accountability partner is really, and I have kind of accountability partners, but not in the real sense of like, hey, we're accountability
where it's formalized.
partners. Yeah. And I feel like that's something that I'd like to bring out of this event. Actually, is how do you set that up?
Yeah,
that's a whole different thing altogether. That you just brought into my brain.
Well, I think it starts with stuff like this. Like it's very funny because the way that we know each other, us three, is very different. Like Rob, you and I worked together in the past, and that's how I knew you. Ken, you were introduced to me, and I started working with you as a client. But I saw the connection of you two working together, and wanted you guys to meet, wanted you guys to talk and figure out how you guys can work together.
Yeah.
And, that's how us three, we hold ourselves accountable for those types of things, like we're creating what you're talking about, just even being right here, we bat ideas off of each other. We challenge each other with, how can this work? How can this be better? Like those types of things all align. Like I look at that, just us sitting here, just like you saying that.
Well, whenever you're talking to somebody and you're not afraid to just say what's on your mind, because if I was talking to somebody who didn't understand this world, I'd be saying stuff and they would have no frame of reference for it. Or they would have probably maybe a negative response to it, because when you don't keep the mindset of leading and growing and changing and trying new things, and you try to say that to somebody who's been at the same job for 20 years, they can't grasp it, because it's so foreign to their world, and change is so foreign. So getting around people who are willing to change and are okay to change, I think is another huge piece of it.
That's right. And have that capability to see what's possible, because we were talking before a little bit earlier. I had this idea for marketing, why we are different from so many other companies that do similar things to what we do. But I didn't know what to do with it. So I sent it to Michael. Within seconds,
yeah.
Michael said, "Oh, yes, we need to do this, this, and this."
Yeah.
Okay.
And, those things are great because, like if I needed advice on, what is my next step, for me to challenge myself as a leader in my business, I go to you and I ask you a question. Or if I need advice from Rob on anything, like he's here. It's those connections that really bring us together, and we all have different strengths and we all have different weaknesses. Like we might not show our weaknesses off as much, but we know that we have them, and we know that there's people that are in our network that we can go to and talk about them, and it's that comfortable feeling you get when talking to someone who is like-minded and knows, the struggle you might be going through.
And is willing to give, too.
Right.
That's
exactly.
why I made sure everybody on stage at this event, no matter what, if I call them, they're always willing to help out. You know what I mean? It's like there's not anybody there who's selfish, who's trying to keep everything for themselves, which is an old business model, I feel like. And the new business model is like, why shouldn't we all be just helping each other?
Why shouldn't we all be succeeding?
Yeah. There's the scarcity mindset. To me,
doesn't
work.
No.
Well, it doesn't apply. It doesn't make any sense.
But it's in use a lot.
It's in use, yeah.
It's really odd to me, because like I look at it like this. There are a ton of clients out there who need help. There are a ton of people out there who need help. You're really just trying to capture that 1% of your people who you can help. Like there are a ton of people out there. If you feel like you're just not able to get it, like there are ways for you to get started and realize like you have a product or a resource that someone needs. You just need to capture that one person's attention, and from there you'll be able to grow. You'll be able to move on to the next thing.
Well, that's so funny, because, and I'm still this way, and I have to check myself, because if I post something and 90+% of the comments or everything are positive, I still say, why did I get that negative?
Right, yeah.
Not everybody's going to like what we do.
You
and
should,
that's
of course.
okay.
I've come to be happy for the negative comment. It's like, all right, good.
Somebody really reading.
And it shows that you're real, too. Like, if you have nothing but positivity and 5 stars, it's like, are you really that good?
Who'd you pay to do that?
Yeah, who's fudging those numbers?
Did you ever go to Amazon and get a product that had 10,000 reviews and they're all like, I'd say 95% 5-star, and you get the product and you're like, this thing's kind of crap, because they're paying for those reviews. They're running a campaign to get that, and I think that's what happens a lot of the time. And I guess for me personally, I've been too trusting of people in the past, so I try to be more cautious on who I'm interacting with or who I'm paying attention to and giving my time to. Not that I don't like helping people, but you really have to watch yourself sometimes. And there's a lot to be learned in that for me, but there's also a lot to be learned in that, like, because you can catch yourself if you've done that to somebody else, you'll see it. Like I have friends that I don't really talk to that much anymore, and it's on me. Like there was things that I did that I was like, man, I wish I wouldn't have acted that way, and I need to go back and right those wrongs or whatever that might be. But it's a chance to be able to notice where you are getting it right and where other people are getting it wrong, and vice versa. I think that made sense.
Oh, absolutely, it made sense. And I think what it comes down to is, I can't remember who gets credit for it. It's been used a couple of times, but trust but verify.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's what we do. And I think that's what the people in this room, the three of us, do. We trusted each other.
Right.
And so we opened up to each other. We gave. And hopefully I'm giving as much as I'm getting from you guys.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the way it works. Because if I'm not giving as much, then you guys should throw me out of the room.
The win-win kind of situation, right?
And I call it we win.
Okay.
Rather than just win-win, because win-win almost implies that, okay, you won your own way and I won my own way, but then we get together next time. But if we have this idea of we win, then I think it takes it to another plane. I think it increases the capability of what's going to come out of it, because we recognize that we are in it for the other one to win.
Yeah.
Not
That's
just
very good.
I win from that, and so do you. That's great. But it's so much more powerful when
we all
we
win.
both
Yeah.
win from this,
That's
or we
perfect.
all win from this.
That's perfect.
So that's why I like the we win idea.
That's the
gonna steal that.
objective. That's the objective of the event, really. Because I was having back in like November, early December, I was really struggling with putting this thing on because I was getting so much in my own head about how many tickets am I selling?
Right.
Is this working? How are people perceiving me doing this? Like, I had this idea of, why is a radio DJ putting on a leadership conference? And nobody ever said that to me, but I was saying that to myself a lot.
Right.
And I was beating myself up over something that hadn't happened yet, number one, and that everybody I told about was excited about it. So why am I doing this? And I don't know where it came from, or maybe it came from multiple different places, but I came to the idea of, like, I'm doing this for other people. I'm not doing this for
Right.
me. So I had to change my focus from how is it going for me? Are people going to get benefit out of it? Are the speakers on stage helpful? Who's in the crowd? How are people being helped?
Yeah.
And if I kept my focus there, then I'm not concerned anymore.
And you're great at that, Robbie. Like you're able to step out in front of people and inform them, with confidence. And I see it when you do your social media seminars or anything. Like if you're just talking about podcasts or putting together this big conference, it all comes down to you're able to connect with people and understand what they want, and you're able to relate to them and provide them with that need. You do really well at that, and that's what. You can see that in this conference because you're bringing together a group of people who need help, and people who want to help each other, and other people who want to help those other people.
Right.
You've done really well at that, and that's
thanks.
what
I
I look
appreciate
at
that.
with Lit. This is a great opportunity for not only us as speakers and business owners, but for the community to come in.
That's the idea. It's like Central Pennsylvania has a whole lot more to offer than we realize.
So much more, yeah.
There's a lot of great people out there if you open up your
Talented.
eyes and pay attention. But if you're sticking your head in the sand and saying our area's a dump, the railroad's in the toilet, there's jobs, but nobody wants the jobs. There's so
Right.
many different other things. There's so many things you could say. All of the drug problems and the violence.
That's everywhere, it's everywhere.
But it's so useless, but it's so pervasive, and I'm just I guess I lived in that world for such a long time around those kind of people, not knocking anybody, because I was one of them too, but then I started to wake up and I was like, wait a minute, this is just my mentality. This is not what's actually happening. This is just what I'm paying attention to. And that separation is huge.
I just think what can happen if the group of people that you have brought together, Rob, to present to the group of people who make the right decision to come. Let's say that we make an impact, a real impact, on just 10% of the people that come.
Exactly, yeah.
And then they make an impact. And then those people, because of the potential in the human body and mind is just limitless.
Yeah.
I
We
really
don't
believe
even
that.
tap into it.
We don't anywhere close.
Yeah.
And so if we can make these kind of inroads and people start growing, and just the idea that we can be better just gets presented out there, and people just take that and run with it and do something with it, we'll just make our own lives better.
Yeah.
And that's that. We win.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and it's the reciprocity. You might not even see it happening, right? But you're causing those ripples to go out.
Right.
That's right.
And that's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about.
One way or another, someone is going to be, they're going to come to this conference and they're going to be inspired to go out there and start their business.
Exactly.
They're going to be inspired to go out there and help somebody else who, may not have been able to come to the conference. Listen, I was here and I got this advice and this has helped me tremendously.
Yeah.
There are so many possibilities that come from this.
And they're inspired and they feel okay talking about this stuff.
100%.
Right? Because
100%.
some people, it's uncomfortable to even talk about this stuff. They don't know, they don't feel like they belong in the conversation, or they feel like people are going to think they're weird or something like that. You know what I mean? There's a bunch of different reasons why. But man, if you start the conversation, that's where it needs to happen. That conversation needs to begin.
That's right.
That's exactly right. It's very funny. I wrote down a quote the other day. I don't know who said it, but the only thing that will get in your way is other people's opinions. And as soon as you said that, that's shot into my mind, the only thing that does get in your way is other people's opinions. And just me, in the last year, I have challenged myself in different ways. Am I doing this right? Am I doing this the best to my abilities? And, you get people, they talk in your ear and they say, oh, this might, no, I don't like this, I don't like that. And you're just like, oh, it bugs you down, hearing all those different people's opinions. But then you have to reevaluate and, reassert yourself that, they're just their opinions.
Yeah.
You can overcome that.
And they probably have no idea what they're talking about also.
Right, yeah. And that happens,
They may.
Yeah.
They may need to eat some bran.
Yeah. And
they're just having a bad day. I don't know.
Up.
But then you come out and you're able to be confident in yourself and you're able to, push through. It's just someone's opinion. If they think your work is crap, that's great. But you know what? There are 500,000 other people who admire your work and love what you do.
Yeah.
That one person does not solidify the rest of your life,
to
the rest
ruin
of your existence.
and to give them the ability to change your day, that's terrible. To let somebody else who said something that has nothing to do with you change the way your day is going,
Right.
and the way you're interacting with people. That's huge. So I think that we need haters because they're a way to
empowering.
check yourself. I have an affirmation actually I've been using because I have a lot of I let those things get in my head. Always wondering what somebody else is thinking. So it's just that I am happy and honored that people are thinking about me.
Right.
No matter what they're thinking, if they're thinking about me or talking about me, it's probably a good thing.
I've made a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've made some sort of impact in their life that they're mentioning your name.
That's exactly right.
Now, if you are a complete prick or a douchebag or something, then maybe you need to check yourself.
Right.
I don't know, but I think sometimes we all should check ourselves. But
Yeah. There are times where you're just like, okay, that person just has no idea what they're talking about.
Exactly.
Sometimes you just have to make the assumption that,
do they know me?
Yeah. What grounds do they have for saying that about something? You also have to reevaluate the person themselves.
Yeah.
And
if your parents say it to you and you respect your parents, or your boyfriend or your girlfriend, or your husband, your wife says it to you,
boss,
somebody who's close to you that really knows you,
right.
if they're saying it, then okay, there's something there. But if somebody that you don't know on the internet says it, they have no idea who you are.
Yeah.
They how could they?
Right.
So that's a good rule of thumb, I think.
It is. And you just need to keep pushing forward. That's really what this is. When you start something and you're moving forward, it's not, success doesn't just happen in a straight line, it just does, you don't just start and success keeps going. You're going to go through the loops, you're going to go through the hills, you're going to go up and down and over, left, right, and sometimes you're going to sit there and you're going to be like, where am I?
Right.
What is even going on?
Yeah.
It's even coming up here, the podcast. I didn't think I was going to be doing a podcast today, but
sorry for springing that on you.
No, that's
it.
It's fine, because that shows people this is not scripted. This is just us talking.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it real. That's what makes it authentic, and that's what I love about this type of stuff.
Yeah.
We're real. We're authentic.
Absolutely.
That's why you guys are on stage. That's the whole purpose. So as we wrap up, Ray Overdorf is on stage as well. His big thing he always talks to me about is, be your own coach, get a coach, and be a coach. Right. So help somebody coming up. Have somebody help you go further, but then also be always training yourself and educating yourself. And I think that's something that when you're coming to this event, have that mindset of who can I learn from here, but who also can I teach a little bit too? and how can I get more information for myself to keep myself moving forward.
Right.
It's a huge
I
piece of
really
it.
like that because, when we look at the ages in this room right now, okay, I really skew the age higher. But the key is there's so many people that I've met who are in a position that they believe they're subservient because they're not the boss, they're not the leader. But chances are they have something to offer.
Right.
And so I love the process of reverse mentoring because you have something like, I can't do what Michael does. I can't do what you do, Rob.
Right.
So that's who I go to.
Right.
Yeah.
And so just because I'm the old fart, I don't know everything.
Yeah.
And I have to accept it, and I have to admit it, and I have to be willing to accept that there are other people that can help me out. But those other people have to be willing to accept they've got something to offer.
And that's,
Yeah.
Even from Rob and I's standpoint, like I am the youngest in the room, and that's okay because I have a lot to learn from you and you. Like,
Yeah, but as far as business, though, you've
Yeah.
got me beat in business years and running your own company. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
everybody has even
Something.
Ages don't really
No.
matter. To a certain
no, they
point.
don't. Like it's really what you offer. Like Rob and I are the taste of new, and you're the taste of the traditional. Like you bring in stuff that we don't see or like just don't hear about because we haven't been around the block as many times.
This is going to be a dated reference, but if you remember Bambi,
Yeah.
when Bambi,
That's before my time.
Is that right?
So in Bambi, it was that one scene where Bambi's looking at the old elder deer and like, boy, if I was old like that deer, and if I had the experience and going on and on about everything that deer has, then it goes to the elder deer and like,
Right.
boy, if I had the youth and I had the energy and
The knowledge you had now.
the clean slate,
Right.
So there's never think that just because you're way younger or way older or in experience younger or older than somebody that you don't have something that they want.
We all have something to offer.
Yeah, definitely.
much so.
That's a good way to end it. I like that. So if they want to get a hold of you guys, how can they find you besides being at the event?
If you want to learn more on who I am or what I do or how I can help your company, you can go to DepiroDesigns.com, and Depiro is spelled Depiro. Or if you're interested in the entertainment industry, you have a production, it's DepiroEntertainment.com.
Very nice.
And for me, go to my website, that Michael built.
Yes.
And because you can get my phone number there, whatever. I love getting phone calls. And if I'm not there, well, somebody will get it and get it to me. But the website is keyvisions@keyvisions.com. And key is a Japanese word, so it's spelled K-I. So that's KIvisions@KIvisions.com.
And as far as myself, robzradio.com, which I need to update my SEO. Michael yelled at me earlier about that. But you can check me out, robzradio.com or GETLITCON.com. Whether this is before the 28th of February or if it's coming up onto September of 2020 or if it's after that, whenever. Just check it out. And thank you guys for being
Thank
here.
you.
Thank
Rob.
you, Rob. Thanks, Michael.
Thank you, Ken.
This is Rob Z Radio.